So ever since I started this YouTube channel, ladies and gents, I've been receiving questions of saying that which one is the better stock exchange between the New York Stock Exchange and the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. Why do I mostly cover stocks in the US and maybe not cover as much in the Johannesburg Stock Exchange like the way I do in the New York Stock Exchange? Well, just today on this video, I'll just be covering just that. So I'm not saying that the local stocks are bad. I'm not saying that. In fact, I do have, guys, I do own local stocks, which is why I sometimes cover them on this channel. So this video is just to open eyes to those that might not know the difference in the New York Stock Exchange, or what advantages or what are the good things that one can also get when they invest in the New York Stock Exchange. So please do watch this video until the end, because I definitely think that at the end of this video you are definitely going to at least probably start also investing in the New York Stock Exchange, because of the good opportunities, of the good things that I'll discuss with you on this channel. Otherwise, please note that I'm not a professional financial advisor. All that I'll be discussing here with you are just my opinions, and if you seek professional financial advice, you already know what to do by now, and that is you need to go out there and consult the professionals. Otherwise, if you like this video, please don't forget to hit that like button, and if you're new, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so that YouTube can notify you every time I release a video. Now, without a waste of time, the reason number one, of course, I personally also like investing in the New York Stock Exchange. In fact, I prefer investing more in the New York Stock Exchange is because of their economy. I mean, of course, those of you who are doing economics, or those of you who also follow the stock market, you will know that by now that the US GDP last year, by the end of 2021, it grew by 10%, and it's now standing at $22.99 trillion, which is quite a robust GDP. Now, on our side, or in South Africa, you will know that the GDP expected or anticipated for 2021, and I'm not sure if the figures or the exact figures are there yet, but I know that it was expected, or analysts expected, South Africa to have its GDP increase to around $320 billion. Now, already by just these two figures, $22.99 trillion and $320 billion, you can easily see that the US economy drives our South African economy. In fact, I sort of like did a small calculations. If you are to divide $22.99 trillion against our economy, or South African economy of $320 billion, you will tend to see, or you will realize that it is 71 times, or it is 71. So the US economy, it's 71 times bigger than our economy, which is something that must show you of how big the US economy is. Now, this is the first thing that I think you might have to look at this perspective. You need to, of course, compare the country's GDPs, and of course, when comparing the GDP, I realized that, or one has to realize that the US economy has got the strongest GDP. Now, coming to the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, guys, Johannesburg Stock Exchange, as of October of 2021, I think they indicated that they had 442 companies listed on the JSE. So JSE, I'm not sure about now, but I know that there are some few companies that delisted here and there in the JSE. But in October of 2021, JSE indicated that they had total companies listed under it of around 442. But when you go to the New York Stock Exchange, guys, you will realize, or you will know by now that I see on screen, the New York Stock Exchange currently has 2,400 companies listed under it. So the New York Stock Exchange currently has 2,400 companies, and of course, these are not only US companies. I mean, there are companies like from China and other countries which go in and list under the New York Stock Exchange, which is one of the main reasons that makes it to be having a lot of companies under it. So it is for this reason that I think at this point in time, I must thank a broker, or a South African broker, Easy Equities, which allows us to invest in companies listed under the New York Stock Exchange. Yes, you know that in the Easy Equities app, you can also invest in the US, or you can also invest in the companies listed under the New York Stock Exchange, which is something that is incredible. Now, it is for this reason, of course, that I think you also have to sort of like consider or take an advantage, an opportunity that a broker like Easy Equities is offering to retail investors to go in and load the boat on those companies that are also in the US Stock Exchange, because these are the companies with good future prospects. Now, if you are to go now to the US stock market and go track the S&P 500, which tracks the top 500 companies in the US against our JSE all share index, you will realize that for the past 5 years, or in the past 5 years, the JSE all share index grew by just 8%. So the JSE all share index grew by just 8%. Whereas on the other side, guys, the New York Stock Exchange, and that is the S&P 500 index, which tracks the top 500 companies in the US, it grew by over 87%, which is something that is truly amazing. This automatically just has to show you of how strong and robust the US economy is, which is why we are seeing it so much outperforming our South African economy. So this is one of the reasons why I'll go out there and also try to invest in the US stocks, or in US stocks, because they are just set also to do very well. And I'm not saying, like I said, South African stocks are bad, South African stocks don't perform well. There are so many South African stocks that have outperformed the markets, or the South African markets, and there's still going to be so many South African companies that are going to outperform the markets, or the SA markets, which is why I also do not want to maybe make you to quote me wrong and say that I said that South African stocks are bad, or South African companies are bad. There are so many South African companies that are doing so well. I mean, out of these 442, there are still so many companies that are doing quite well. But it's just that when you compare the South African all share, I think, which now comprises of 442 companies, against the S&P 500, which composes of 500 top US companies, we can easily see that the JSE all share has been seriously outperformed by the S&P 500, which is something that I think this should open up your eyes now and see why I invest in the US stocks more than I invest in the local SA stocks. So the US stocks tend to perform way better, or the US index tend to perform way better than our local index, which is why I would sort of like encourage you to also probably go and look in some of the companies in the US that you can invest in. I mean, of course, those that have been following me on this channel for some time, you know, or you already know the companies that I invest in the US, as I've done a lot and lots of videos about the companies that I do invest in the US, and I've also done a lot and lots of videos of the companies that I invest in South Africa, or in the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. So all this, I'm just trying to show you of how strong the US economy is, which is why I'm saying it's wise, or it can be wise for you to probably start looking at the US stocks as well, and not just put your money into SA stocks, or not just put all your money in the South African economy, but also try put your money in the US economy and other economies in the world. I mean, one of the stocks or one of the industries which I like, which I want to just show you of how other countries are a bit ahead, even in terms of technology, when comparing to South Africa, the EV industry, which is my favorite industry in the stock market right now. Last year in 2021, total number of EVs which are sold worldwide clocked 6.6 million. So 6.6 million EV cars were sold in the year 2021, which is something that is truly amazing. And 3.5 million, if not 3.4 million, as seen on the screen, of those cars were sold in China. So China, as it stands, is the leading EV country in the world. It is the one that is leading in terms of EV sales in the world right now, which is why I'm sure those of you who've been following for some time are not surprised why my top EV stock, or my top EV company, also comes from China. It's because China, when it comes to EV or producing or selling these EV cars, it is the #1 country, or that is currently leading in terms of these EV sales, which is why it constituted over 50% of the total EV sales of 2021. Out of this, of course, we have got the US. I think US, as seen on the screen, you notice that by just 6 months of 2021, they had already sold 310 vehicles, so which is something that is truly amazing. And if I'm not mistaken, they managed to sell over 600,000 EVs in 2021, which again just shows you of how also robust the US is in terms of this EV market. Now in South Africa, guys, it is now in 2022 that we are only planning to deliver or to sell at least probably, I don't know, 4,000, because if you remember the speech that the president or our president said last year, he indicated that Toyota plans to produce at least 4,000 EVs this year. On a flip side, it means that, let's say we get to sell those 4,000 EV units or EV cars, it just simply means that for this year we would have sold 4,000 or only 4,000 of these EVs. Now, why am I telling you this story? I'm telling you just to try to compare, or just to try to show you of how other countries, or how the US is quite ahead in terms of technology, in terms of certain aspects of the economy and the future, when comparing to our South African country or South African economy, which is something that, again, it has to open up your eyes and make you see that there is a lot and lots of opportunities to be found if you are to take the opportunity and invest into the US stock market. Yes, there are companies, like I said, in the South Africa that are still going to outperform the markets. There are companies in South Africa or in the Johannesburg Stock Exchange that are still going to do very well in the future. But the purpose of this video is just to also open up your eyes to say that you must also try out the New York Stock Exchange and try to find the companies that you can invest in, because their economies is much stronger than our South African economy. Their economy is much bigger than our economy, and in terms of technology they are quite ahead compared to us. And of course, from the scenario from the electric industry, which I just did a scenario for you, you can definitely see that there is a lot of opportunities also in the New York Stock Exchange. So please go out there and also do your own due diligence. And of course, those of you that have been following me for some time, you will know that I do cover New York stocks a lot. In fact, I think on this channel I cover mostly US stocks than local stocks, because I believe that we are the kind of a generation that invests into tomorrow, and for us to invest in the future, I think we have to invest in companies that are accelerating towards the future, and that is of course companies that you can find in the New York Stock Exchange. Otherwise, with all that, guys, I make tons and tons of stock market investing videos, and if you think that this video was amazing, please don't forget to hit that likes button, and if you're new, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on the notification bell so that YouTube can notify you every time I release a video. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish you nothing but the best in your stock market investing journey. And before you can load the boat, or before you can invest in the New York stocks, please do make sure that you do your own due diligence, so that at least you can be comfortable when investing also in the New York stock market, which is something that is, I believe, it will make you to be comfortable and make you to be confident when you are investing in those companies. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish you nothing but the best in your stock market investing journey, and God bless you all.